Hey, One Broken World Entertainment. And of course, yesterday was the big day. We got the first official teaser trailer for Superman. And the reactions to it haven't been terrible, but they haven't been overly positive either. They've kind of been in the middle. There's a good few people that are overpraising it. There are a few people who are shitting all over it for no real reason. But I'm kind of, I'm not, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. You know, it's kind of in the middle. There's things to like about it, but there's a lot to be concerned about it. And we're really going to just break down the actual trailer in this, because there's a lot being said now. And we've now been given as well our first official look off the Fortress of Solitude, and I think that might divide a few people for this new take on it. It's not terrible, but when you think of what the fortress looks like, to see this version, you kind of go, ooh, that's quite different. But it kind of makes sense. So I'll tell you what, we'll jump into that part first. So it says the Fortress of Solitude has been a staple of the Superman mythos since the late 40s, and a new take on the Man of Steel's place of solace, occasional base of operations, will be introduced in James Gunn's DCU reboot. The trailer begins with a badly injured Supes crash landing in the snow, before whistling for Krypto and asking the Superdog to take him home. The Pooch drags the hero away by the cape, but we know he's not referring to Smallville. Now, we don't actually see the fortress in the trailer. At least we don't see it from the outside. I think there is a clip in the trailer, very brief, that is inside the fortress, I think, anyway. But this is the new Fortress of Solitude that looks like the Game of Thrones throne from the side a bit. It's definitely different. You know, everyone always just thinks of the kind of, it's almost like the pyramids. It's like a big triangle type thing. This is a very, very different take, and I don't understand why the bottom half of it is kind of narrow, you know, depending how big this thing is meant to be when you're up close to it. And if it's gone that high and stuff, how would no one notice where the thing is? You'd be able to spot it from space, the size of it. And this is official, by the way, because like this is on new merchandise and stuff, jumpers and t-shirts and things like that, you know. So it is official stuff, but it's an interesting take. Like, obviously you want to put your own stamp on things, but it's just kind of, yeah, not quite sure what to make of this style of fortress. So then James Gunn also spoke about what he hopes this movie actually does, and explains why this trailer opened the way it did. And he's hoping the movie can unify people. So regarding that, he said to IGN that his desire is to highlight the simplicity of the morals and goodness and love, okay, the characters embody in next summer's reboot. So he's hoping, like, because they're that, you'll get the courage. And says the filmmaker went on to share his hope that a character like Superman might, just for a moment, help people put their differences to one side. Now that could get a bit worrying. Like, is this, oh, he's gonna make it political to try and say we all have to come together? Hope that's not the case. But here is what he said about this. So he says, listen, I do think that things have become really polarizing, and my life is just not that. I also think that the internet has become polarizing, and it's much more polarizing than life is. I live in rural Georgia, and I have friends and of all different political perceptions. I'm not a person that believes in cutting someone out because their politics are different than mine. And I think at the end of the day, most of us are trying to do our best, and most of us are making the best choices we can for ourselves and trying to do things compassionately. I know that's hard to believe in this time when everything is so black and white on the internet in terms of what's good and what's bad, what choices are good and what choices are bad. But I would hope that Superman does unify us a little bit, because he is just about those core values that I think everyone believes in. Not everyone, but almost everyone believes in. And so hopefully this is outside of that realm of political discourse in that respect. Now, hopefully what he's saying there is Superman is literally just truth, justice, and the American way, and that everyone can get behind that, rather than saying, oh, you gotta stop believing in that style of thinking with politics, and you have to stop thinking that way. Just leave politics and all that bullshit out of this. Just have it be a comic book movie. He also added to that, I do think that if we can focus on our humanity, which is what Superman is about as a character and as a movie, and focus on doing the best we can day to day, then it's a little bit healing, but not a lot. So that's his discussion on what he wants the movie to do. You know, basically stop bitching at each other over Trump and Biden and this and that, and just watch a movie together, enjoy a movie together, then talk about the movie together. Or even if one of you like it, one of you dislikes it, have a conversation as to why you liked it and you disliked it. Don't have a falling out over it. So it also says Superman's teaser trailer opens with a shot of a beaten and bloodied Man of Tomorrow calling out for Krypto to help. It's a surprising way to reveal the character, and one that, for many fans, has reminded them of the DCEU. So here is what it says about this. At the beginning of this trailer, Superman wants Krypto to take him home. And I think that this is a place where we can all go home, to a character that we love, to the simplicity of the morals and goodness and love that Superman embodies as a character, and that we can all go home this summer to Superman. I think it's something that could be a good thing for us. Talking to Variety, the Superman helmer reiterated that this movie is not a fantastic power fantasy, and quickly pointed out, I'm not saying that about other hero movies in general, but it felt good to be doing so. It was about a person's kindness. That doesn't really explain why Superman's introduction in the trailer is him half dead. It's like, oh, because we can all go home and we're gonna go home, and you're like, what the hell does that even mean? But the trailer itself, now, Krypto, of course we know Krypto was in this. The first initial image we saw of Krypto was that behind the shot of Superman and Krypto sitting there staring at Earth. And the one thing Krypto didn't have that he does have in the actual movie, and I'm glad, if they're going to put Krypto in there, I'm glad they committed to it, is the cape. Yes, Krypto has his cape. Now, Krypto, if I remember correctly, Krypto could speak, but they have confirmed that he won't speak, at least in this movie, because we do know that Krypto is meant to go off then with Kara Zor-El and be in Supergirl, which films next year, and she of course is meant to appear in a post-credits scene of this movie. But the fact that they put the cape on Krypto, it's even got the little S, you can see the little S on the back, good. I know there's still a lot of people kind of complaining that the dog isn't more of a Labrador as he was in the comics, but it's a CGI dog at the end of the day, so whatever. The most Superman part of the trailer is, of course, Superman saving the kid. I still can't figure out how the kid doesn't hear this gigantic kaiju behind her. Unless she's deaf, possible. But otherwise, like, how did you not hear this thing behind you? Again, Nicholas Hoult looks good as Lex Luthor. He looks like Lex Luthor, which is a good thing. The only part with him that looks a bit weird, I saw a comment actually saying, oh, who knew Superman was going to have Agent 47 Hitman, is that moment of him with the gun and the tuxedo. That's the only part where you're kind of going, looks a bit weird there. It's also interesting that Lex Corp is what they put up, because they didn't put up Lex Corp, they put up Luthor Corp, which is from one of the other comics and stories, which is an interesting choice that they went with that. That scene's also strange because there is someone on the roof off just under the sign. You can just make out someone. Now, it's not Superman, And I'm wondering, is that the engineer? That's possibly the engineer. We're not sure. There's an image, this particular image. Now, I used this for a thumbnail for the trailer. And I didn't even realise when I was watching the trailer, because I was more focused on Superman, to be honest. There's people in boxes beside him. And I don't know whether these lights are coming from these people or what, but there's people beside him. You can see on either side, there's two people that we can see on his, well, our left, his right. And there appears to be two people on his left, our right. And it's like, who are they? And what are they doing there? And in this type of image, you're looking at them and you go, they don't even look real. They look CGI. They mightn't be, but they look CGI in that image. But again, this seems to be some sort of prison. Probably in Luthor Corps, but it looks like some sort of prison. We don't know what that's about. This image that you see now, this is possibly... Now, there was a report somewhere else that said where this is meant to be. But I think this is possibly the scene that people were going, oh, about when it got leaked out there about the Middle East. If you remember, there's meant to be a Middle East scene in this. This looks possibly like that is this scene. That they try to deny that it's the Middle East. Now, it sounds like it's a made-up country or something, but I still think it looks and feels like it's meant to be representing the Middle East. Just look at what the people are wearing, you know? Other than the kid, everyone else looks like they're in the Middle East. So it's interesting to see what's going on there. Everything else with the trailer, like, again, why is this crowd of people turning on Superman, you know, throwing things at him and stuff? Is it because we saw a scene earlier, which there is an image in here that you will see at some stage, of, it looks like maybe two, not just one, but two buildings collapse. Are they furious at Superman because he couldn't stop those buildings from collapsing? We don't know. Then, of course, this image you can see, and everyone noticed, oh, Stag Industries, which is a known property for people who know the stories of Superman and stuff. So it's interesting that that's the building they're in and that they've added that in there as well. Then we get to the people who we know are showing up in this. And yeah, look, it can't be understated. This version of Green Lantern is just like, good Christ, what have you done to him? Like, it's Guy Gardner, and it's just like, what is going on with their hair? What is going on? And their suits, now we saw the suits on those set photos, the behind the scene set photos, and the suits looked horrible. They look just as horrible here. You can just see Hawkgirl there behind them, and her suit looks horrible. They just look like biker gear, but ill-fitting biker gear. He seems to be shooting. I don't know whether this is some sort of shield to stop people from being able to get into this the Stag building, but either way, he's using powers anyway. And people are wondering, like, is he going up to chew out Superman for screwing up, or what's going on? The kaiju thing is weird. Now, we have to really look at it. So we see him breathing fire at Superman, but Superman's not able to fully block the fire because the fire goes past him, like it envelops him, but still hits the building behind him. And you'd think Superman would have just like uses super breath and stuff and blown the fire back, but he doesn't. He kind of just let it envelop him. The kaiju looks weird in terms of it's nothing recognizable that I recognize anyway. So where does this come from, and how is it here in Metropolis? That's the other question, of course, assuming this is Metropolis where the kaiju is. I'm assuming it is. But where does it come from? How did it get there? You know, why is there a kaiju in the film? Yeah, look, we can't not look at this and just go, what is going on? Is the image of Superman sitting in a chair, looking almost angry, while Lois looks like she's trying to console him, while this Thing is outside destroying Metropolis. Like, why is he sitting there? Why is he not out there trying to stop this thing? Now, the speculation is this Brainiac? It's very possible. Don't know. But, like, the complaints for that first image of him putting on the boot, and here he is, still actually sitting there while this thing is on the attack outside. Yeah, that's going to piss a lot of people off. It really is. And of course you can see the suit, it wrinkles, it's ill-fitting when he's sitting down and stuff. It's like, I don't know why you made that decision. And here is the one image that is inside the Fortress of Solitude, and it's him with this robot thing, which, because it's inside this fortress, it's probably one of the helper robots. I don't know if it's one, if there's only the one or not. He looks upset that this thing seems to be destroyed or getting destroyed. Alan Tudyk is in this movie, and I was wondering who he's playing. I have a feeling he's possibly going to voice this, and possibly playing in a motion capture suit this robot. I'm wondering that now. But you can see the fortress there. You see these weird kind of power light things in the back and stuff. You know, it's only a very, very small portion of what we're seeing, so we don't know what the overall inside of it looks. We do get that shot then off when it was growing or coming out of the ground anyway, and from this angle you see, oh, it looks like the fortress, but then we got that official image of what it actually looks like, and you're like, yeah, it doesn't quite have that look. Now this guy, we're all speculating who this is. This Metamorpho? This possibly is Metamorpho. Could be Brainiac. It could be a clone going wrong. It could be Ultraman without the suit on. We don't know. But speculation is it's possibly Metamorpho. But either way, it's weird. That's for sure. Yeah, like Mr. Terrific. Now, I saw this comparison and I didn't even pick up on it until they said it. This image here of Mr. Terrific who looks like Lois Lane, with him with this shield around him. Everyone's shooting the shield. It's like, why don't you just shoot those 3 things above him that clearly is the shield? Unless they're drone type things trying to shoot the shield. The look, what these guys are wearing, the area it's in, everything else. They ended up saying, this looks like the Flash. And you're like, oh God, it does. And then it turns out, if you haven't heard this, get ready. We know that James Gunn said he thinks The Flash was the greatest superhero movie he ever saw. The cinematographer for this movie is the guy who was the cinematographer for The Flash. Uh-oh. And here we have this scene that looks like it's taken right out of the big action set piece in The Flash, which is just like, okay. So that's all the real kind of main things to break down in the trailer. Mr. Terrific looks fine. He actually looks like Mr. Terrific, which good on them, you know. But it's the new look for the Fortress of Solitude. I think people will be kind of divided on that. His explanation as to why the movie opened, or the trailer opened with Superman half dead, is a bit weird. And that he hopes that the movie can bring everybody together. But I still think this movie is far too blood. So overall, we have, and these are known characters that are going to be showing up. We got Superman, we got Lois, we got Lex Luthor. But then we have Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, the Engineer, Ultraman, Rick Flag Sr., Crypto, a Kaiju, possibly Brainiac, and Supergirl to at least show up in a post-credit scene. So it's a hell of a lot. A hell of a lot. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's still other characters like Cat Grant and all these other people. And it's just like, whew, this is going to be a lot. So we'll wait and see. And one of the worries I'm kind of getting now is people saying that James Gunn really kind of excels at putting odd and weird characters together. And that's how he makes his movies, that he has to have an ensemble group. Is that how he's managed to do Superman? Is it the only way he could do it was, well, I need to make it an ensemble piece. I need to fill it in with all these other characters. Don't know. That could be the case. We'll wait and see. But that's the main things to really kind of take away from this trailer. So, with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comments, by the way, what you think of the new Fortress of Solitude and what your general thoughts are on the movie, or at least the trailer and the images that you could see. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.